Hey everyone, welcome to this deep dive into the world of making electronic music.
Ooh, sounds fun.
Yeah, so we're going to be taking a good look at this book called Making Music, 74 Creative Strategies for Electronic Music Producers.
Catchy title.
Right, and it's by Dennis DeSantis, who you might know.
Head of documentation over at Ableton.
Exactly.
So Ableton Live users might recognize the name.
For sure, and
Yeah.
we're going to be looking at a really cool YouTube review of the book from Digital DJ Tips.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that one.
Have you? Yeah, it's great. And also pulling into some interesting points from Sine Radio.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, to give us like a well-rounded perspective.
Yeah, I love that.
So no matter where you're at on your music making journey, whether you're just starting out,
Or you're like a seasoned pro.
totally. Yeah, this deep dive might just help you break through a creative block or like level up your songwriting.
Always helpful.
Always right.
Yeah. And you know what really struck me is that this book, it's not just for people using Ableton. Yeah, the strategies are like super broad and applicable to any kind of music making.
That's awesome.
Plus, there's a way to check it out for free.
Ooh, free is good. We like free.
We'll get to that later.
Yeah, definitely. We got to tease that. But first, like, what is this book all about?
Yeah, so the reviewer really emphasized this interesting structure that it has.
Okay, what's that?
It's not really meant to be read like cover to cover,
Okay.
more like something you can dip in and out of as needed.
Oh, like a choose your own adventure?
Kind of, yeah. Like
Yeah.
if you have a particular songwriting problem that you're facing right now, you can just flip to that specific section and find some solutions.
I like that, like a creative toolbox?
Exactly, a toolbox for your music.
I love it.
So it's very practical, you know?
Okay.
It helps you really pinpoint like what is the issue you're facing.
So like if you're stuck on a melody
Yeah, or like your arrangement feels stale.
or you just don't know how to get that bass to sound right.
Yeah, anything like that. And then it gives you concrete steps to move forward.
Oh, so it's not just like theory, it's actual actionable advice.
Actionable advice. That's what we need.
Love that.
Yeah.
Um, and you know what really surprised me is that the reviewer even said, like, as an experienced producer himself, he still found fresh perspectives in this book.
I mean, it's always good to learn new things.
Right, even if
Look
you're
at-
already killing it in your field.
Yeah, he even admitted that some of the techniques made him rethink his own approach.
Wow, that's pretty cool to hear.
It just goes to show that there's always something new to learn in music production.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, even when you think you've got it all figured out.
Like, never stop learning.
Never stop learning exact.
Love that. And this book, like, provides a framework for those, like, aha moments, you know,
Say.
regardless of your experience level.
Absolutely. Everyone can get something out of it.
Cool. And I got to say, I was really drawn to some of the problems that the book tackles. Like, they're so relatable.
What did you see?
Okay, so one that really caught my eye was listening to music you hate,
Oh, yeah, I've been there.
right? You know that feeling when you're comparing your work to, like, your idols and everything you make just sounds
Yeah.
terrible?
Yeah, and you just want to give up.
Exactly. Like, why even bother?
Right.
But the book actually gives you strategies to get past that feeling and turn those negative vibes into something productive.
So you're telling me there's hope.
There's hope.
I like that.
And, you know, it's so easy to get stuck in that comparison trap.
Especially these days with social media.
Oh my gosh, it's a constant stream of like the best of the best.
Everyone's highlighting real.
Exactly. And then you look at your own stuff and you're like, ugh.
It's rough.
But what's fascinating to me is that the book doesn't just offer like technical solutions.
Oh.
It also addresses the mindset shift needed to reframe that frustration.
Ooh, that's interesting.
Right.
It's like getting out of your own head.
Totally.
Love that.
Another problem that they tackled that I think we can all relate to is writer's block.
Oh, yeah. The dreaded writer's block.
We've all been there.
Staring at the die.
Inspiration gone.
The track you were so excited about is now collecting dust.
The worst.
It happens to the best of us.
And the book suggests this technique called sound palette limitation.
Ooh. I've heard of that.
Have you?
Yeah, it's where you like restrict the sounds you use and you kind of force yourself to get creative with what you have.
So it's like setting boundaries for yourselves.
Exactly. Sometimes having too many choices can be like paralyzing.
Too many options.
Too many synths, too many drum samples.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
It's overwhelming.
Totally.
So by limiting yourself, you actually open up new creative pathways.
That's so interesting.
It is like sometimes less is more.
Okay, I'm starting to see how that could be helpful.
Yeah, it's a really cool concept.
So the book is packed with like these really cool strategies. But here's the best part.
Okay, what is it?
The reviewer really emphasized that even though the book focuses on electronic music production,
Right.
the core strategies are actually applicable across genres.
Absolutely.
So whether you're making techno or trap or even like folk
Like
music,
orchestral music.
yeah, any genre,
It all applies.
the principles translate.
At its core, songwriting is about storytelling evoking emotion.
Connecting with your audience.
Exactly, and that's
Oh.
universal.
No matter the genre.
Nope.
Awesome. And speaking of accessibility, Sine Radio had this great tip.
Okay, what is it?
There's actually a free PDF version of Making Music available on the Ableton website.
No way.
Yes way.
That's awesome.
So you can check out the book before committing to buying it.
See if it resonates with you.
Love that free is always good.
It really lowers the barrier to entry, you know?
For sure. And that's something we always love to see.
Absolutely, access for everyone.
So we've established that this book could be really valuable for music creators at any level. But what does that actually look like in practice?
Yeah, like what kind of specific strategies does it offer?
That's what we're going to dive into next.
Well, one that I think will resonate with a lot of people is the idea of like embracing limitations.
Okay, but isn't the whole point of music production like having all these endless possibilities?
You would think, right?
Yeah, why would you want to limit yourself?
It's a common misconception that more options equals more creativity.
Interesting.
Sometimes having too much freedom can actually be paralyzing.
I think I know what you mean.
Like, have you ever stared at a blank project in your DAW
Oh my gosh, yeah, all the time.
and just felt completely overwhelmed by all the directions you could go in?
Yeah, I just end up feeling like I should make a sandwich instead.
Right. Like, it's almost easier to just do nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's where limitations can be surprisingly, like, liberating.
All right.
Like setting constraints. You know, whether it's limiting your sounds or sticking to a certain tempo range or even just using one instrument.
No,
You force yourself to be more resourceful and inventive.
like you have to work with what you've got.
Exactly.
It's kind of like those cooking shows where they give the chefs like a mystery box of ingredients and they have to make a dish out of it.
Oh, yeah. I love those shows.
Me too. And it's always the weirdest stuff.
Right. Like fish eyeballs and gummy worms.
Yeah. But somehow they manage to create these amazing dishes.
It's because those limitations actually force them to get creative.
Right. They have to think outside the box.
And the same applies to music.
Oh, that's a good point.
Like, think about some of the most iconic electronic music. A lot of it was created on very limited equipment.
Yeah, back in the day, they didn't have all the fancy plugins and stuff we have now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it's still so innovative and groundbreaking.
So those limitations actually push those artists to be more creative.
Exactly. It's about finding inspiration within those limitations and using them as a springboard for something unexpected.
So it's a shift in perspective.
Yeah, instead of seeing constraints as obstacles, we can view them as opportunities to push our boundaries.
I like that mindset.
It's about embracing those limitations and using them to your advantage.
I'm starting to see how that could be really powerful.
It is. It's a game changer.
What other strategies from the book stood out to you?
Well, one that's super relevant in today's world of constant distraction is the idea of deep listening.
Okay, I'm guessing that means more than just putting on your headphones.
Yeah, definitely.
So what is it?
Deep listening, as the book describes it, is about actively engaging with the music. You know, like really analyzing its structure, dissecting the arrangement, paying attention to those subtle details that we often miss.
So like really breaking down what makes a track work.
Exactly like becoming a sonic detective.
I like that.
And this applies to any genre, not just electronic music.
Oh, cool.
By training your ear to pick up on those nuances of sound design, arrangement, composition,
Okay.
you develop a much deeper understanding of music as a whole.
So it's like learning a new language. The more you immerse yourself in it, the more fluent you become.
Exactly. And the more you actively listen, the more you internalize those musical patterns and techniques.
Okay.
And then that feeds back into your own creative process.
Oh, I see.
It gives you a richer vocabulary to draw from when you're making music.
That makes sense.
So how can listeners actually like incorporate deep listening into their routine?
Yeah. That's a good question. It seems kind of abstract.
It's actually pretty simple, you know, just start small, pick a track you love, and really listen to it with fresh ears.
Like listen to it like you've never heard it before.
Exactly.
Okay.
What are the layers of sound? How does the arrangement build tension and release?
Ooh, getting deep.
Right. What techniques are they using to create those textures, those rhythms?
Like doing a sonic autopsy on a song.
Exactly. You can even try to recreate those techniques in your DAW.
Well, that's a good idea.
It helps you understand the theory behind the music, and it gives you practical experience applying those concepts.
Awesome. So deep listening Check. This book is packed with advice.
It really is.
Anything else that really grabbed your attention?
You know, one that really spoke to me is this idea of detaching from outcomes.
That sounds interesting.
It's something that can be incredibly helpful if you're struggling with self-doubt or, creative blocks.
I think we can all relate to feeling the pressure of wanting our music to be successful.
Oh, for sure. Especially with social media, we're constantly bombarded with metrics and comparisons.
Likes, plays, followers.
It's easy to get caught up in the outcome rather than just enjoying the process of creating.
Yeah, we get so focused on like how many people are going to hear our music that we forget to actually enjoy making it.
Exactly. And that's what detaching from outcomes is all about. It's about shifting your focus from that external validation
Okay.
to the intrinsic rewards of the creative process.
So like rediscovering that childlike sense of play and experimentation.
Exactly, just having fun with it.
I like that.
Because when you're not constantly worried about how your music will be received, you give yourself permission to take risks.
To experiment.
Yeah, and to express yourself without fear of judgment.
That's so important.
It's about letting go of that need for approval and just creating from a place of pure joy.
There's this quote by Ira Glass that I always think about. He talks about how when you're starting out, your taste is often ahead of your ability.
Oh, yeah, I've heard that one.
Like, you know what good music sounds like.
But you haven't figured out how to create it yet.
Right, and that gap can be so frustrating.
It can be brutal.
And that frustration, I think, is what leads to a lot of creative blocks.
For sure, you feel like you're never going to get there.
But by detaching from outcomes, you allow yourself space to learn and grow.
Without that pressure of needing to be perfect right away.
So it's about embracing the journey.
The messy middle, all those experiments.
All the failures.
Exactly, because that's how you learn.
You got to make mistakes to get better.
It's about finding joy in the process, even when it's challenging.
And trusting that the more you create, the closer you'll get to bridging that gap between your taste and your ability.
You got it.
Detaching from outcomes. I'm going to try to remember that one.
It's a good one.
What other gems are hidden in this book?
Well, one strategy that really resonated with me is the concept of finding your voice.
Ooh, that's a big one.
It is, and it's something that a lot of artists struggle with, especially early on.
Yeah, it's easy to get caught up in trends or try to emulate your favorite artist.
Totally.
But how do we actually develop a sound that's truly our own?
That's the million-dollar question, right?
Right.
The book frames finding your voice as a journey of self-discovery.
Ooh, I like that.
It's about exploring your influences, experimenting and embracing what feels authentic to you.
So trusting your gut.
Yeah, not being afraid to be different and letting your personality come through in the music.
Like letting your freak flag fly.
Exactly.
Yeah, that.
Because in a world saturated with music, authenticity is more valuable than ever.
Yeah. People can tell when an artist is being genuine.
When they're pouring their heart and soul into their music.
Right. It's like you can feel it.
So how do we actually go about finding this voice?
Yeah. Does the book give any practical advice?
It suggests a few key strategies.
Yeah, what's it?
One is to really dig deep into your musical influences.
Okay.
And I don't just mean the artists you love, but the artists who inspired them.
Oh, wow.
Trace the lineage back.
So creating a musical family tree.
Exactly.
I love that.
And by understanding the history and context of your influences, you start to see where your own musical sensibilities fit into the bigger picture.
It's like finding your place in the grand tapestry of music.
Exactly. But still bringing your own unique threads to the pattern.
What else does the book suggest?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's we're being encouraged to just embrace what makes us unique,
Totally.
and not be afraid to stand out.
Yeah, it's so easy to get caught up in trying to fit in, especially when you're a new artist.
For sure. You just want to be accepted.
You want to sound like everyone else on the radio.
Right, but this book is nah, be yourself.
Embrace your weirdness.
Love it. And another strategy they suggest is just to experiment.
Oh yeah, experimentation is key.
Don't be afraid to step outside your comfort zone. Try new genres, play with different instruments and sounds.
Break the rules.
See what happens.
Sometimes the best ideas come from those happy accidents,
Totally. Sometimes I get so stuck in my routine that I forget to just have fun.
Yeah, routine can be the death of creativity.
It's I need permission to play around in the studio.
The studio should be your playground.
Not a pressure cooker.
Exactly. And as you're experimenting, pay attention to what feels right.
What resonates with you.
Yeah, what excites you? What melodies get stuck in your head?
Well, that's a good point.
Those are the clues pointing you towards your own unique voice.
It's like tuning into your own internal compass.
Trusting your instincts.
letting them guide you towards a sound that feels authentic.
And true to yourself.
So it's an ongoing process.
Finding your voice is, yeah, it's not something you just achieve overnight.
Yeah, takes time.
But by embracing that experimentation, staying curious, trusting your instincts.
You gradually cultivate a sound that is both unique and compelling.
A sound that is all your own.
And that's what it's all about, right?
That's the dream.
I feel like this book is so much more than just like a collection of tips and tricks.
It really is.
It's about cultivating a creative mindset.
It's about the bigger picture.
And it doesn't shy away from the practical side of music making either.
Oh, no, it gets into the nitty-gritty.
Like, one thing it addresses is that age-old problem of finishing tracks.
Oh, man. The struggle is real.
My hard drive is a graveyard of unfinished projects.
I feel that.
I think every producer faces that at some point.
It's so easy to start a track and then lose steam halfway through.
But this book offers strategies for overcoming that.
Okay, like what?
One is to set realistic goals.
Oh, that's a good one.
So instead of aiming for a perfectly polished radio-ready track,
Yeah, which can be daunting.
maybe just focus on getting a solid arrangement down.
Break it down into smaller steps.
Exactly. Or maybe even set a deadline for yourself.
Deadlines are good, even if they're self-imposed.
It's like that saying, work expands to fill the time allotted.
So true.
If you give yourself forever to finish a track, it'll never get done.
It'll just linger in that purgatory of unfinished projects.
Exactly.
Another strategy is to break down the task into smaller chunks.
Oh yeah, we talked about that earlier with the limitations thing.
Right. It applies here, too.
So instead of looking at the entire project as this huge, overwhelming thing,
Just focus on one section at a time.
spend a day on drums and another day on the bass line.
And so on.
It's like climbing a mountain.
Ooh. I like that analogy.
You don't focus on the summit. You just focus on putting one foot in front of the other.
And eventually you reach the top.
Exactly. And as you complete each small task, you get that sense of accomplishment.
It keeps you motivated.
It builds momentum.
And before you know it, you've finished the whole track.
So much less overwhelming that way.
It's all about breaking it down.
Okay, that's a good tip. And the book also has a whole section on mixing and mastering.
Oh, yeah, that's where the magic happens.
But it can also feel like a technical black hole.
I know what you mean.
I'm always a little intimidated by mixing and mastering.
It can be daunting.
But the book breaks it down in a way that's really approachable.
Yeah, gives you those clear explanations.
Like, one thing they talk about is mixing in mono.
Ooh, that's an interesting one.
Why is that important?
It's a great way to ensure that all the elements of your track are balanced,
Okay.
and that nothing is getting lost in the mix.
So everything is clear.
Exactly. It helps you identify phasing issues that might be masked in stereo.
Oh, I said.
Make sure your track sounds good on all playback systems.
That's a really good tip. I'm definitely going to try that.
It's a game changer.
Is there anything else from that mixing and mastering section that stood out to you?
Well, beyond the technical stuff, they also emphasize the importance of developing your ear
Okay, how do you do that?
by listening critically to your favorite tracks.
Oh, okay.
Pay attention to how they're mixed, how they're mastered. Try to identify what techniques they're using.
So it's like going back to deep listening,
Exactly.
but applying it to mixing and mastering.
Yep. The more you listen critically, the more you'll develop your own taste and judgment.
You'll start to understand what makes a mix sound good to you.
And then you can apply those principles to your own work.
It's like we're getting the tools not just to make music.
But to understand how to craft a polished, professional sounding track.
Exactly. And it's not just about the technical side.
It's about using those skills to enhance the emotional impact of your music.
That's a good point.
Mixing and mastering is about creating a mood, an atmosphere, telling a story through sound.
That's an art form.
Not just a technical exercise.
This has been such a rewarding deep dive. I feel like I've learned so much.
Me too. I'm ready to go make some music now.
And to our listeners out there, we hope you've enjoyed this exploration as well.
We hope you got some value out of it.
And remember, whether you're just starting out or you've been producing for years,
There's always something new to learn.
always a new approach to discover.
Keep experimenting. Keep pushing your boundaries.
And this book, Making Music, might just be the key to unlocking your next creative breakthrough.
Check it out.
Don't forget there's a free PDF on the Ableton website.
So no excuses.
Go make some noise, have fun, and explore those 74 creative strategies.
Let the music flow.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time.